In a development that has left even the most seasoned royal observers speechless, Buckingham Palace sources have confirmed that King Charles III is preparing to remove Queen Elizabeth II's last two surviving corgis, Newick and Sandy, from the care of his younger brother, Prince Andrew. What began as a seemingly touching act of filial devotion, Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson taking in the late Queen's beloved dogs after her death in September 2022, has spiraled into one of the most extraordinary and emotionally charged disputes the modern monarchy has ever seen. At its heart, this is no longer merely a question of pet ownership. It has become a profound symbolic confrontation over legacy, trust, dignity, and the very memory of the late Queen. The two corgis, small in stature but enormous in sentimental value, have been transformed into living emblems of Elizabeth II's personal happiness in her final years. To King Charles, they represent an irreplaceable link to his mother that must be safeguarded with the same solemnity as any crown jewel. To Prince Andrew, they are among the last remaining threads connecting him to the mother who, even after his catastrophic fall from grace, appears to have trusted him with something she cherished above almost everything else. The dogs' backstories only deepen the poignancy. Newick, pronounced Mick, was a gift from Prince Andrew and his daughters in early 2021, when Prince Philip lay seriously ill in hospital during what would prove to be the final weeks of his life. The puppy arrived as a deliberate distraction and comfort for a grieving wife who had rarely been separated from her husband in 73 years of marriage. Sandy followed a few months later. After Philip's death, another gesture intended to ease the Queen's loneliness in a newly empty Windsor castle. Photographs from that period show Her late Majesty, visibly frail but smiling broadly, walking the young corgis on the castle lawns, images that became among the most enduring of her last chapter. When the Queen died, it seemed entirely natural that the dogs should go to Andrew. He had chosen and presented them. He lived only minutes away at Royal Lodge, the graceful 30-room mansion on the Windsor estate that had been his home for 2 decades. Sarah Ferguson, who continues to share the house with her ex-husband in their famously unorthodox arrangement, embraced the corgis with genuine enthusiasm, regularly posting photographs and videos of them scampering through the gardens or curled up on sofas. For more than 2 years, the arrangement appeared to work flawlessly. The dogs looked glossy, contented, and unmistakably spoiled, exactly as the Queen would have wished. Yet beneath the surface, tensions were building. King Charles, sources say, has grown increasingly convinced that Royal Lodge no longer offers the settled, dignified environment the corgis deserve. The King's concerns are not, insiders insist, about basic standards of animal care. No one suggests the dogs have been neglected, but about the broader instability that now surrounds Prince Andrew's life. With Andrew's public role in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal still casting a long shadow, and with Charles determined to draw a firm line between the working monarchy and his disgraced brother, Royal Lodge has come to be seen as an unsustainable remnant of a bygone era. The corgi question has become inextricably linked to the separate, long-running saga of Andrew's future housing. For several years, Charles has been pressing Andrew to vacate the sprawling Windsor mansion in favor of a far more modest property, believed to be Frogmore Cottage, or a house on the Sandringham estate. Royal Lodge, with its vast grounds, private chapel, and swimming pool, is considered too grand and too expensive to maintain for a non-working royal who contributes nothing to public life. Andrew has resisted fiercely, citing the long lease signed by the Queen in 2003 and his substantial personal investment in renovations. But palace sources now suggest the king is close to prevailing and that the forced relocation forms part of the same sweeping effort to sever Andrew's remaining ties to the heart of royal life. Seen in this light, the plan to reclaim Newick and Sandy is far more than a petty sibling quarrel. It is the final, deeply personal act in a systematic campaign to erase Prince Andrew's visible connection to the institution he once served and damaged for decades. By declaring the corgis part of the living legacy of the crown, Charles elevates them to near-sacred status, implying that only the institution itself, rather than a tarnished individual, can be trusted with their stewardship. It is a devastating judgment, If Andrew cannot be relied upon to care for his mother's dogs, the unspoken message runs, then he cannot be relied upon at all. The late Queen's lifelong devotion to her corgis is legendary. From Susan, the dog she received on her 18th birthday in 1944, an entire dynasty descended, more than 30 corgis and dorgies, corgi-dachshund crosses, over 7 decades, almost all traceable back to that first beloved companion. They accompanied her on honeymoon, flew with her on royal tours, and famously nipped the ankles of footmen and prime ministers alike. Palace protocol dictated that the corgis were fed gourmet meals prepared by a chef, slept in raised wicker baskets in the royal apartments, and were mourned with the gravity normally reserved for close family members when they died. When, in 2015, the Queen quietly decided to stop breeding new puppies, not wishing to leave young dogs behind, it was interpreted by many as the clearest signal, yet that she was contemplating her own mortality. Against that history, entrusting Muick and Sandy to Andrew after her death carried enormous emotional weight. It suggested that, whatever the public scandals, the Queen still regarded her second son as capable of tenderness and responsibility in private. For Charles to overrule that decision now is, in the eyes of some courtiers, tantamount to declaring that his mother's final act of trust was misplaced, a painful conclusion for any son to reach. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, finds herself once again collateral damage in a royal psychodrama not of her making. She has spoken movingly and repeatedly about how the corgis helped heal her own heart after the Queen's death, describing walks with Muick and Sandy as moments of genuine solace. Losing them would sever one of the last living links to the woman who remained her champion long after divorce, severed formal ties to the family. Friends of the Duchess say she is heartbroken at the prospect. Opinion among royal watchers and even within palace circles is sharply divided. Some applaud Charles for his ruthlessness, arguing that a modern, slimmed-down monarchy cannot afford to indulge sentiment when reputation is at stake, and that the dogs are safer under institutional care at Windsor or Balmoral. Others view the move as needlessly cruel, the final twist of the knife in a brother already stripped of military titles, patronages, and public role. He has lost everything else, one former courtier remarked privately. Taking the dogs feels almost vindictive. Practical questions abound. The Queen's will has never been made public, but it is believed to have contained detailed instructions about the corgi's future. Whether those instructions gave Andrew permanent ownership or merely temporary guardianship remains unclear. Royal pets have historically been considered private property rather than crown assets, yet Charles's reported framing of the dogs as part of the monarch's living heritage could open an unusual legal avenue. Palace staff, accustomed to navigating delicate family matters with discretion, reportedly find the entire episode unprecedented and deeply uncomfortable. As Prince Andrew prepares, reluctantly, to pack up decades of memories at Royal Lodge, and as King Charles contemplates life with 2 small, grieving corgis who have known only Andrew and Sarah's voices for the past 3 years, the House of Windsor confronts an unflattering truth. Even the smallest creatures can expose the deepest fractures. What began as an act of love, gifting puppies to a lonely mother, has ended as the final chapter in a painful estrangement between brothers. The world watches, half amused, half aghast, as one of history's oldest dynasties argues over 2 small dogs. Yet beneath the absurdity lies a genuinely poignant story about love, loss, and the unbearable weight of legacy. And for now, the corgis wait, innocent, trusting, and utterly unaware that their next walk may determine nothing less than the final boundary between mercy and monarchy.